Well, aloha kakahiaka, everyone, and aloha kako to Joan, who's first in line over here. Joan, welcome. Let's get our friends here. We got a special show today. It's going to be just a Scott and Peter show because Dylan is out serving our country today. He's out on military service, and Heidi called last minute. She called and said that she was not feeling well at all, so Heidi's off the hook, and we will miss them both. So it's just going to be Scott and I. It's Scott and I, and right now, Joan, who was the first one in line, she takes the cake for today, and then Jim. Hey Jim, welcome back, buddy. Aloha Friday. Beautiful day in New York City, 74 and sunny. Sounds like Hawaii weather, Jim. Sounds like Hawaii weather. It's absolutely perfect. And Joyce, Auntie Joyce is back with us. Welcome, Auntie Joyce. Great to see you. Great day when I get to spend time with you all. We feel the same. Thanks for making it great, for being here. I really appreciate that. Michelle is back. Hey, Michelle, welcome back. Aloha from Makaha. Hope you're enjoying your day in Makaha. Speaking of beautiful, Scott, as we warm up, right? Well, everybody, I want to introduce you all to Scott Startzman, who represents the island of Oahu. Dylan Nonaka and Heidi Dollinger are usually here. Dylan is from the Big Island and Heidi is from Maui, but as I mentioned earlier, they're not here today. But Scott's with us. It's going to be an Oahu-centric show. So, Scott, how's it going, buddy?
It's great. This has been an amazing week. I got my Plumeria Aloha shirt on for this special Friday with just you and I and a lot of airtime. So,
Looking good.
Yeah, unfortunately for everyone, they're going to see my face a little more than normal. But yeah, I mean, this week was incredible. I sent you that video of us body surfing. My buddy's in town body surfing at Makapu, and the surf was pretty good. And as you know, you don't really go out on bigger body surfing without fins. And of course, I got out there without fins, so it was a little bit of getting tossed around. But man, it was awesome. It's been a while since I've been able to get in the water like that, and the rest of my day was just super easy after I did that.
You know, it's kind of funny because I got that picture, that video that you sent, and I think it was on a Monday. I think it was, my Makapu days are Wednesday, so I was thinking about you. I went out there on Wednesday and had just a great time. There is just no better way, at least for me, to there's no better way to start your morning, man. It's just it's the best thing in the world. And on the weekdays, as you know, there's nobody there. If you go early, especially, it's like you're out in the water. I'm the only guy in the water. And just
that's what was amazing was when we went early. We got there right before sunrise, and when we pulled up, there was like 2 other cars in the parking lot, and there was no one else on the beach. It was just us, and we were the only ones in the water. So you have the pick of the litter at that point. It was amazing.
It's the best. It is the best. And speaking of the best, we have some of the best people here are with us. Auntie Joyce says 6870 in San Francisco. Okay, I think that's like typical for San Francisco, right? Hope you're enjoying a great day in San Francisco. Auntie Joyce, Corey is back. Corey, love the Cadillac logo, buddy. Aloha with the shades. Welcome back, Corey. Good to see you. Mike Vanderwalt, good day from New Zealand. Awesome, Mike. Great that you're here. Welcome from New Zealand. I have family in New Zealand, so we hail to New Zealand. Great. And Judy is back with us. Judy Weber. Aloha, guys. Hey, Judy. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. I'm looking forward to today's show. It's going to be interesting. Patrick, mainland's East Coast, Raleigh, North Carolina. Hey, welcome back, Patrick. Mr. Last Show, traveling, lost track of the weeks, changed job, timing conflict. Good to be back and joining this time. Hey, Patrick, we are super glad that you're here live with us. You could also go to if you're on the newsletter, I send out the what I call on demand. If you feel like catching up, and I even break it out with little chapters so you can kind of close in on the place where you want to go to. And Auntie Joyce says, I think the view of is a dream. You are just too. I think the view of the two of you is a dream. You are too kind, especially to the older gentleman. I don't know what side I'm appearing on, but thank you, Auntie Joyce. You're too kind. Scott's the handsome one, but I will take it. Thank you. Yeah, kia ora. Yeah, exactly. Kia ora. Very good. I have family in New Zealand and also in the Cook Islands where it would be kia orana. So great to have that little bit of Maori language with us. Thanks, Mike. Great. I'm really glad that you're here. And Vern, Vern says, "How's it from the Great Smoky Mountains?" Hey, how's it, buddy? How is the Great Smoky Mountains? Scott, isn't that kind of your neck of the woods? Smoky Mountains. You're from North Carolina, right? Isn't that in that
Yeah,
region or something like that?
so I went to Appalachian State, and if you're familiar with it, Appalachian State not only beat Michigan in football like many years ago, one of the biggest. They were in 1AA at the time, but just last weekend they beat Texas A&M. So college game day for ESPN is actually going to be this weekend at Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina. So I grew up in Charlotte and went to school at Appalachian State up in the mountains of North Carolina. So yeah, right around that area.
Awesome. Awesome. And Mark is back with us. Mark is an alumni of the Islander Ohana, as is Joan. Mark, great to have you here, buddy. We had a great Islander Ohana conference a couple weeks ago, and it was just really had a fantastic interaction with everybody. You're welcome, Patrick. You're welcome. Jason is back, and there you go, Scott. There's a great game, Appalachian State. So awesome, terrific, and this must be code. I don't know what Aggie means, but it must be some sort of a code word.
Yeah, Texas. Her husband went to Texas A&M. So
okay, got it. Shh, we will. It's just between us. No one knows. It's just between us. Thank you, Joan, for the compliment. It is sincerely appreciated, especially when you're up in these years. And Kevin is also, hey, there you go. Scott, you're like bringing up the East Coast, our East Coast friends over here. Kevin's from South Carolina, so awesome.
Yeah, we got the Southern contingent going.
I'll tell you, man. You got this other contingent going. It's great. Heather is back with it. Hey, Heather, aloha. Welcome back, Heather. Heather is an alumni of the Islander Ohana and recently made the move to Oahu. Great to see you, Heather. Glad you're here with us. All right. I think that takes care of everybody. Let's get into some news. And because it's a sort of a Scott and Peter exclusive, I kind of centered it many ways around Oahu-based news. Oh, Jessica's back with. Hey, Jessica, good to see you. I'm glad you're back. Good to see you again. All right, so we got a couple of things I want to kind of clue you in on. First of all, is if you're in the hotel industry or a hotel worker or want to be a hotel worker or you're a nurse. And this is the time. There is a huge shortage. The best quote there was a story in the news that the hotel workers, there are at least 500 workers short. And one of the leaders in the industry, his comment was, he says, they are hiring anyone who shows up. We want you and we need you, he said. So there you go. And as far as nurses go, I don't know what nurses are earning on the mainland. If anyone knows, please throw me some comments. I'd like to know. But Hawaii's hospitals have a huge nursing shortage, and it's getting even worse because the schools have to turn away students due to lack of nursing college teachers. So that's a big problem. The number I saw was that starting pay for nurses is $105K starting. So seems like a pretty big number to me for a starting salary. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We've been tracking the Red Hill story. You all know about that one, right? So we've been tracking the Red Hill story. This is the quick refresh everyone's memory. There is a fuel tank on Oahu that unfortunately a jet fuel tank on Oahu that unfortunately sits above an aquifer. It leaked, and there was some contamination in the water supply. So they've been ruled to defuel, to pull all of the fuel tanks away from Red Hill. The good news is, on that defueling is it's going to be happening sooner rather than later. So that's a good thing. Looks like it's going to be complete by July of 2024. So we're all kind of happy about that. That's kind of a good thing. I know Scott's got some numbers he's going to want to share with you today, but I caught some interesting things. It looks like the housing situation on Oahu is going to be worse before it gets better. A couple stories I've been seeing, less new housing. There's some concerns now that the interest rate is throwing things off, and some developers are now kind of rethinking whether they want to kind of do those projects that they had originally planned. And then the Department of Planning and Permitting, which is really like the key. I don't want to say bottleneck, but a key point you must take before you do any kind of serious development. They're in trouble too. They've had their main director has resigned after a very short tenure, and there's a shortage there, so things are backing up. They're in bad shape. So I think things are going to get worse before they get better in terms of housing supply. Therefore, prices probably on Oahu. And then finally, if that wasn't enough, damn it, coffee is going to be more expensive too. So Heidi, we are thinking of you. Hope you're doing well. Everybody who just joined us, Heidi's out sick today. She's not feeling well, and Dylan is out serving our country in his military service. But anyway, the coffee price looks like crop yields are down 30 to 40%. A combination of coffee leaf rust and bugs. There's basically been some bug issues, and they've been kind of boring through the coffee. The weather's been less than optimal. There's a little bit of a drought conditions on the Big Island, I believe, and so those things have kind of come together. If you're into the Kona coffee thing, it's going to be more expensive. So fill me in on what you on and see. Auntie Joyce has got a comment here on the nurse. Let's kind of switch over to here, and she says the rent to traveling nurses hard to find them, hard to find affordable rentals similar to doctors, teachers. Yeah. So Auntie Joyce, rents to traveling nurses. Traveling nurse would be kind of, if I was a nurse and if you're a good nurse and you're making good money and you want to travel, that's kind of a cool way to kind of see the world there. I'm going to, Scott, before we go to you, I want to give everybody, I thought about our little, our whatchamacallit, our question for the Ohana, and I want you all to look at this. So this is really interesting. So take a look at this picture. I posted this actually on the Facebook page. So look at that moon there. So this is a quote real photo. It's on Oahu. Look that tower on the left is the Kamiki fire station, and you notice the moon, the lower left-hand part of the moon. There's something that's sort of interfering with the image. There's something in front of the moon over there. Something in front of the moon, right? So the question for take a guess, everybody. Take a guess. What's blocking the moon? That's the question for the Ohana. Throw your guesses in the comments. I'm going to go back to that photo so you can take a look at it again. No, that's not the photo I was thinking about. This is the photo. So take a good look at that photo. What is blocking the moon? What's blocking the moon? That left, it's that, you notice how like the lower left-hand part of the moon is like chopped off? Something like chopped off that lower part of the moon. So think about that. Put your guesses in. Jessica is she saying that's the Christmas tree? Okay, Judy says Vogue. Okay, keep your guesses coming. Keep your guesses coming while Scott does his part, and we'll go from there. Scott, it's your turn. Give us the update. There's a couple of things I know that you want to cover about Oahu news updates market. This is going to be somewhat of an Oahu centric show, depending on what you folks ask us. So go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, no, I mean the lack of new housing component. I actually talked about this, like 2 months ago, I think. And it's a common sense kind of thing when you look at economics. As interest rates go up, obviously there's going to be less borrowers in the market. They can afford less. And the cost now for developers to borrow to purchase those materials, their revolving line of credit goes up. The cost to build has gone up 20% from last year. So it costs the developers more. They need to charge more to make their profits, and the borrowers can afford less. So you're going to end up seeing less builders building at this point, which is a problem because we've already had a shortage of housing of new start housing or whatnot for the last couple of years since the downturn, and we're trying to play catch up. And now we're going to have this disincentive for the developers to add more. So we're not improving. We're not in. The problem's getting worse. It's not going to get better, right? So I mean, I'm not surprised that came up. And then add on top of it DPP, where the director just left it. The article came out the other day.
Sorry, a DPP is Department of Planning and Permitting. That's the story I was talking about. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I mean that the article said there's over 8,000 permits backlogged in the system, either waiting to get through the approval process or being reviewed. And that's just an insane amount. So on top of it, myself, where we were as investors, when I was pulling the investors the last couple of weeks and I started talking to the professionals that I work with, the team that I surround myself with, we looked at this scenario and we've actually gone away now from the new construction concept because, my people will need a return. And if their return is just sitting in land for a year or more waiting for permitting, there is no return there. And it doesn't make sense. There's a problem in the system. So now you got people, even smaller developers such as myself, that will not go in that to add new housing inventory. Now we got a real problem, right?
That's a problem. I mean, it's going to really, yeah. So, it's going to be interesting. I am curious though, because there does at the same time seem to be a slowdown. Interest rates going up. It's kind of driving. I don't know, and we've been seeing that sort of small slide. So I don't know if that's going to offset this, but it's I'm not sure.
Well, it is, and what's interesting is and I was talking about it before, how there's fewer people bringing their homes on the market because they have a 3% interest rate on their current home, and they look to go sell and buy the house next door. And now they're going to have to get into a 6% interest rate. And they look at the cost difference on what their interest rate will be if they go to purchase, and they go, hey, I'm going to stay in place now. I'm not going to bring my house on the market. So we're not bringing inventory on the market for resale either. So you have this little bit of a double whammy. In fact, this past month, we actually lost inventory on the single family home side. There's less active homes this month than there were last month. So yeah, this could end up causing a bit of a problem from the marketplace. It actually, what it end up doing is, because the market's slowing down from the buy side, it's going to end up just there won't be much of a pullback. It's just going to you're going to go sideways, right?
It's kind of like go sideways on it. Hey, I wanted to give everyone a quick update. You guys have been I've been throwing the guesses up on the screen over there. So let's have a little bit of fun. So we're getting a little bit closer, because there was a couple of guesses here. So for example, Judy guessed Vogue, and then clouds, trees, ring eclipse, Mauna Kea, hint. Okay, hint. Jessica is in another island. It's UFOs. Mountains. Heather is another hill in the back of it, or a cloud. Okay, so I'll give you all a hint. We're kind of honing it. It is another island. It is another island. So let me show that picture. It's a really cool picture, actually. So that thing on the lower left-hand part of the moon is another island. So now the question is, which island is it? Take a guess. What's the island? There's an island. There is an island, and that island could be Oahu. That island, but there's another island that is blocking the bottom left-hand part of the moon. Take a guess as to what the island is. All right, gang, keep guessing. Keep bringing the guesses. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Scott, is there anything you had a bunch of stuff you want to talk about as far as Oahu? This is a pretty good time to bring that up.
Well, a couple of announcements. For Oahu, the home tax exemption for real property taxes, that deadline is the end of this month. So if you bought this year and you're an owner-occupant, you want to file that by September 30th so you can get your discount on your property taxes for next year. So that's one thing to be aware of and kind of keep an eye out on. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of new condo development towers that are going to be coming online for sale. And then there were 3 that just announced they're doing affordable housing sales right now. So, and those don't make it to the MLS. Those I work with a lot of the developers on that side of things to be able to bring people, different opportunities other than just what you see online. So just kind of for people to be aware of that. It's more of an announcement than anything.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, so gang, look, there's we're going to be, again, it's going to be somewhat of an Oahu centric show. I got some slides I got pulled up that came in that were Oahu related questions that we're going to hit with Scott. If you've got questions, this is the time to get them in because we're here for you. A couple of great guesses, Jessica Molokai and Joan Lanai, which is a good one. Side question from Kay. I want to acknowledge Kay. Aloha just moved to Kauai Monday from Colorado. Congratulations, you made it. Do you have a real estate expert for Kauai? Of course we do. Kay, get into the comments. On the comments, I've got a right. You're on YouTube. In the YouTube comment section, there's a form. Click on that link, pop it in, or reply back to me if you get the newsletter. If you're not on the newsletter, make sure that you get that reply back, and I'll connect you in through Dylan's network. We have some really awesome people on Kauai, and you'll be, of course, part of the Ohana. So just let us know about that, and we will be happy to connect you. And Heather guesses Kauai. So so here's what's cool. So this was what was really cool about this this picture was that the person who took it was such a geek that they also went and told us, gave us the geography behind it, and the answer is Molokai. And you could see that line, that person who posted this gave us the line of sight, that gray bar going across, and the point, the red dot on the left hand side, the pinpoint on the left hand side is that Kamaki fire station view. So this is the line of sight view of the moonshot. So you're catching, it's clipping the tops, the peaks of Molokai. So the answer is Molokai, is where it is coming from. And I thought that was just such a cool thing, a great. I thought that was just the coolest photo of all, because not only is it a cool photo, I've actually never seen that. I mean, that is an amazing shot of the moon. It's a cool shot of the moon and stuff, but I've never seen that lower part. And to think that lower part is just a clip of the island of Molokai. So, Hawaii is an amazing place, and we all. No matter how long you've lived here, whether you were born here or whether you moved here, and whether you moved here 40 years ago or 2 weeks ago, this place is just an amazing, magical place, and you get stuff like that gives you the amazing magic. So so that's that. So Kate, yeah, absolutely. Make sure just reply back and pop on the form. Great. Keep your questions coming, because that's what we want to cover. So we got one from Karamia. Karamia says, do we just have to submit the exemption once or every year? So Scott, this is in regards to the homeowner's tax exception. If I can you repeat what this is all about, Scott?
Yeah, so for homeowners tax exemption for your real property taxes on Oahu, if you're an owner occupant, you can file for an exemption to get a reduction in your property taxes, and you only have to file it once. And the deadline would be September 30th. Once it's in place, it will take place every year. You don't have to refile it. And that reduction in the property tax rate would occur going forward. But the deadline for next year's property taxes is the 30th. And if you're above $1 million, once you get above that, the property tax rate gets significantly higher if you're non-owner occupant. So you definitely want to get that in. Although it could be a pretty huge savings. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you, Scott. Yeah, so great answer. And if you've got some tax issues, make sure you take care of that. Thanks, Scott, for that great advice. And Auntie Joyce loves the view. Yeah, really, isn't that great? It's just like the coolest. It was one of the coolest things I had seen. So it was really interesting. So cool. Hey, gang. So if you if as I mentioned earlier, if you've gotten here because you've been invited from the newsletter, then you're on the newsletter. If you found us, great, welcome. Make sure you do get on that newsletter so you'll get notifications of future episodes. We do the show every other week. Get to livinginhawaii.com, a formal pop-up, pop in your email address and join us. All right. Let's move on and see what else that we got over here. Scott, was that the summary of the things that you wanted to share? Okay, good. So given that, Scott, what is your take? What do you give us your best shot as far as what you think, where you think we're standing, let's say for the next year, next 12 months. What's the general trend? I mean, is it going to kind of sort of go horizontal because you've got the decreased supply due to all these restrictions, right? So there's not going to be kind of new housing, but then there's also going to be perhaps a reduced demand. So it seems that there's going to be a horizontal piece. Anything you want to share? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I see us kind of going sideways and interest rates going up because the inflation numbers just came out the other day. Fed's going to raise the the Fed funding rate again, right? Which they've talked about doing. So we're off 25% in number of sales for both single family homes and condos from the same time last year, and that number is increasing. But like I said, the active listings right now, we have 5 fewer active listings right now than we did last month. So like you said, it's just, they're basically just kind of canceling each other out. And in doing so, there's still competition. The bid ups, we've got 50% of the homes are still being bid up over the asking price. Now, people aren't just going to be generous and give somebody more money than what they're asking for unless there's competition. So in doing so, the inventory is still very tight. So we're just going to kind of go sideways, decelerate, go sideways, but prices are up for single family homes year to date, 12%. So
12%.
12%
over last year.
Yeah, year to date. So we're
and
at
last year was
1.125.
20%. Holy moly, because last year was 20% over the previous year.
Yeah, I figured we'd be about this range year to date, and for next year we'll probably be about 5% price appreciation. So it's this slow deceleration, this slow kind of getting back to normalization, and the two things, interest rates going up are going to reduce the number of sales, and those interest rates, those great low interest rates, are going to keep sellers in place, and they're going to prevent builders from bringing a lot of inventory on, and it's just going to kind of negate each other to this slowdown. In fact, I look at our closed sales this month. Yes, they're down 25%. I had to go back to 2012. We're back to 2012 sales numbers. We're actually this month. Our numbers of sales are below what they were in 2019, 2018, just for this month. But if you look year to date, we're going to end up having the second highest number of sales. The only year that was more was last year. So it's this slow deceleration that's going to take it a year to 2 years to normalize,
to kind of wring itself out. Yeah. Well, look, as we've been, and this is somewhat consistent with the things that we've been saying, right? Everyone's been, there's always a potential doom and gloom scenario, but that we've consistently said that that's probably not going to be the case. Again, we can't predict the future, but we've said it's probably not going to be the case, and that seems to be supported by at least what we're seeing so far. Look, could change tomorrow, but it certainly is good. Auntie Joyce chimes in. Phil, we filed when we first purchased on the big island, huge savings. Yes. Typically, there's a pretty, and I think that trend's going to increase. We're going to have a larger difference between owner-occupied land and other, rental, vacation rental, second home, all that kind of stuff. That's the trend I'm seeing. I'm seeing that statewide as all the news stories that we've seen across the board. All right, great. Okay, so we're going to move on. Again, pop in your questions. Make sure that we get your stuff covered. We may end up having a short show today. There's no need. We're not going to purposely keep it to an hour. I could only handle me talking for so long, and so make sure that if you folks got it, you get your questions in. But let's use this time, Scott, to handle some question that we had a while ago about that are Oahu centric. So here's one that we got from Dean from Taiwan. And he says, on Oahu, how safe is Makaha Valley Towers for senior retired couples to buy and live at, where we are U.S. citizens? So Makaha is a beautiful, beautiful part of the island. How would you respond to Dean? And by the way, folks, is there anyone, any of you looking to retire on Oahu? What have you considered? What have you if you looked around, share with us what you found, throw it in the comments, or otherwise. Frankly, if you're, let's go statewide. If you're looking for retirement, if you have retired, if you're in the retirement things, what areas have you found that are of interest? I'd like to get some feedback, and I'd like to share it with everybody else. So pop it in. Scott, what's your take on Dean's question?
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people you live in the community and you buy the house that is in that community, and the community choice comes first. If you don't like the community, you're not going to be happy with where you are. And that's probably the main thing with that, Leeward Coast, Makaha areas, is to get out into that community and see if you like it, see if it's acceptable. I've spent a lot of time up there. I used to go up there and stay at Makaha Beach Cabanas right on the ocean. And it was just, I'd spend the weekend. I'd be so relaxed when I came back. It was just an amazing experience. And I would go to the grocery stores and I would go to the checkout line, and the lady would say, "Hey, how you doing today?" I'm like, "Good, how are you?" And we'd engage in conversation. And you don't get that in urban core Honolulu as much, because everyone's much more, faster paced moving. We got to get from A to B. We're dealing with traffic more. So that leeward coast is more that country setting, which is the same kind of feeling or sense that you get on the outer islands. So to me, there's a little more semblance of community and friendliness because the pace of life out there is slower, but there are drawbacks. There's some socioeconomic components that come with that area. It's a much more local area. So does that fit for you as well? As far as Makaha Valley Towers, it's a great building. Love that building. There's Makaha Valley Towers, which is the only tower that's in that area. And you look out across the valley and the golf course to the ocean. It's beautiful. Makaha Valley Plantation would be the other one, which is a gated townhouse community within there. So those two would be totally safe. And then the question is does the community fit for you?
Excellent. You know, and it's so cool, Scott. Thanks, Scott. That is a great a summary of Makaha, I think it's really helpful that you had a personal experience that you had to share. What I'm kind of stoked about is that Michelle Cook is like, yeah, hey, boom, great. I've got 2 units. I've got 2 units there. So thanks, Michelle. I'm so glad that you're here today. This is like perfect. So everybody, Michelle's there. There you go. She's got 2 units there, beautiful and safe gated community, and agrees. The locals are super friendly, great community, horrible traffic. Now that is a really good, yeah. If you've got a commute in, oh my God, just forget it. Commute in meaning if you have to come from Makaha and then say you have a job, if you have a job in what we call downtown Honolulu, if you had to commute in, that would just be, you would not want to be living through that. You would not want to be.
Yeah, heaven forbid there's a wreck, because you might as well just at that, if it closes off the road, turn around, go home, and just call it a day, call in sick. If I was in the military and I was working at like Schofield, I'd seriously consider living along that coastal area, because you can take that mountain pass road through, and then you have your beach community lifestyle, and it's not that hard to get there.
Yeah, or hopefully these days, if you can be a remote worker where you don't have to commute anywhere, then you're in really good shape. Heather is agreeing with you. Best advice, Scott. That totally worked for me. Thanks to you. So thank you. Excellent, Heather. To look for the right community first. Look for the community first, then focus on the homes within the community. Also finding temporary housing while looking. Thank you, Heather, for chiming in. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, Heather's a perfect example. We saw some homes that we liked in a different area, and we went and checked it out. And after a couple of days, we did a right turn and focused, more in the community that she's going to end up being in. And it's a matter of getting here. You can do all your research online that you want, and you can formulate your opinions. And then when you land and you touch and feel, those opinions are going to change, whether they change drastically or reinforce what you were thinking, but they will change some. And it's when you get here and you look and feel, or touch and feel, and you get out in the community, that you really are able to formulate what's important to you at that time.
Yeah, great advice. And, because of all of our discussions and all the things that we've learned, I put together an entire series on the YouTube channel about picking the right place. And district is a huge thing. And, we had an Islander Ohana alumni discussion, as I mentioned earlier, a few weeks ago. And one of our alums, she bought a home in Maui, and she was just saying that they just got lucky because they didn't go through this sort of intensive process, right? They didn't go through this intensive process that kind of Heather went through with you to find the right place and all that kind of stuff. And she said, "Look, I would, if I had to do it again, I would definitely be really clear as the district that we're going to want." She goes, "We got super lucky, but that was the big takeaway. Pick the community first." That's great advice, Scott. Go ahead.
Blind squirrels find acorns every once in a while.
even a broken clock is correct twice a day, right? I guess the old style clocks. Judy says, "I've wondered if the West Side is outgrowing their one road out." Judy, they outgrew that decades ago. That was outgrown a long time ago. And I wonder if it's not that way now, Scott, by design. Then again, there's all kinds of issues why that road can't be expanded. But I would think if I was living out there, I may want there to be a terrible road out, because then it's gonna limit kind of who wants them to move out here and give me my little enclave. I don't know if that's true. I'm just guessing, speculating. Jeff says, "Hey, if you buy to demo and build new, do you get to claim tax exemption the first year prior to project completion?" Great question, Jeff.
Yeah, so if you're living in it prior to demo, then you can file it. But you're going to go through DPP, and then, what do you do while during that demo stage? And before the new build is you get your certificate of occupancy. There's a little bit of gap there. Does the tax office talk to the Department of Planning and Permitting? Probably not. Are you supposed to change it if you move? Yep. But you may not have to.
Excellent, thanks. Mark is chiming in. Mark, an alumni of the Islander Ohana. Diddle that. Scott helped us. There it is, man. Look, gang. Just let me finish Mark's comment first. Scott helped us find the right community. Mililani is perfect for us, and working remotely here works well for me. And actually, I don't know if this was by design or not, Scott and Mark, but Mililani is network-wise is very close to a major network hub. The cable provider Spectrum is headquartered in Mililani, and they got a big data center in Mililani. So, Mark, I think Mililani is one of that area has got some of the highest connectivity. Now, your mileage will vary based on your building and things of that nature. But, Mark, I'm kind of curious how your net connection there has been. I'm sure it's got to be good because you're a remote worker, but that's another benefit of that area. But I kind of wanted to say again, now you saw two comments from Heather, and one from Heather and one from Mark, and Jessica's here too. And I know that Jessica gushes about Scott. Scott's the man. And then I've known Scott for, I think we're going on 20 years now, Scott, at least close to it. And I was really glad that things worked out when we kind of had these crazy ideas to kind of do the show every other week, that you've been a part of it. And it's been really fun. Kevin's going to be there in December. We'll have to check it out. Kevin, if you're on the newsletter, get a reply, get on the list. I can connect you with Scott, and you can see this is the right way to do it. And we got a couple of things too. Number one is I've got a couple of videos I posted on the YouTube channel about finding the right place in the district and all those kinds of things that you have to think about and consider. We also have a course in the Islander Ohana. We're going to be opening up the next cohort. I'm doing some additions on the content, a class. In fact, I just created a class on how to pronounce Hawaiian words, which was really, really fun to do. But in the Islander Ohana, we have Scott and Dylan and Heidi, and we put together a whole course, stuff that they tell people directly when they work with them. But we put together a whole course for the Islander Ohana to kind of go through the home buying process. So, Kevin, there's lots of resources, and it's all here. By the way, you all are throwing in questions, and that's exactly what I needed you guys to do today. So really appreciate that. It makes the show fun and interesting and engaging. So I appreciate that. Keep them coming. So we got one from Carmia again. And is the condo market mirroring single family homes? Scott, how would you answer that?
It is mirroring single family homes. We're off 25% in sales for single family homes as well, but there's very little inventory. The inventory is building a little more quickly on the condo side, but we're still way off. I mean, I talked about this a couple of shows ago. There were like 2,400 condos actively available for sale in 2019, and we had a 6% price appreciation, and we're at like 1,100 right now. So we got a long ways to go. It's the same thing on the condo side that's happening on the single family home side. It's this slow move to normalization.
All right, great. Hope that answers your question, Carmia. Mark replies back: internet connection have gone down maybe once briefly. Otherwise, it's pretty good and fast. That's the key. So you picked the right area, man. That is the right spot. There was an interesting comment that we had on Mark's Mark to your comment. We had an interesting observation from one of the Islander Ohana alums who said, there's a lot of things infrastructure-wise that you might take for granted if you're coming from the mainland, especially if you're coming from a mainland city. A lot of things you take for granted: electricity, water, sewage, power, net connections, all those things, right? And it's not necessarily ubiquitous. It's not necessarily every single, every place is the same around here. It's not the same. Even things that, what kind of surprises me, Scott, is things, again, that we take for granted, but radio reception. radio reception is spotty. And given, like, for example, we live in a valley, and as soon as like we go to where our house is, boom, there's no, the radio goes all static because you're deep in the mountains, and it doesn't work. It's kind of cool. So Kevin, watch several of the videos. Good, glad you're on it. Make sure you're on the newsletter. Get into the videos. Do a search. You'll find the videos that I've got on real estate here. Jessica took I took I took curbside recycling for granted, right? It's all of these things, right? That it's really, and it's really an amazing world, right? If you think about it, right? We take for granted the fact, the simple fact that if we turn on the light switch, the lights will go on. And we don't think about the millions of things that had to be well coordinated perfectly and maintained consistently for that simple act to work. We take it for granted, like curbside recycling. Um, and Judy, thank you, Judy. You are a blessing. People, if you're not a member of the Islander Ohana and you're interested in moving to Hawaii, you need to join. I can't believe how much I've learned and how it has confirmed Hawaii for our family. Plus, it's fun and you meet people. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Go ahead, Scott.
So I mean, just to piggyback on that, I've been doing corporate relocation and individual relocation for 17 years. I helped build that department. And the biggest challenge for people moving, it's not finding the home and finding the community here. It's uprooting your life where you are and that support system and coming here. And that's a big part of what I help doing is that move management. It's trying to help you relocate you and your family and get you integrated into the community. And that's exactly why you and I are working together, is what you're providing helps bridge that and helps make that transition for people much easier.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. It's really become kind of one of these sort of dream come true things for me. And I've been really, there's been, I really didn't, it's like, starting up a new company, you're starting up a new thing, you kind of don't know which way it's going to go. And I didn't know how this was going to fly. So it's sort of like I've been holding on to the dragon by the tail, but it's been a great thing. Kev, you got it, buddy. Oh, Heather, here's another thing we don't take for granted. Sirius XM does not work in Hawaii. Missed that a bit, but also love listening to Hawaiian music stations. Yeah, Heather, you know what? I would have never known because I came to Hawaii came to Hawaii when we lived in grass shacks before we had satellite radio. I don't think there's Sirius XM was in 1984, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, I never knew because never got it. But Heather, these days, with Spotify and all those other services, there's plenty of stuff, but the Hawaiian music, you can't go wrong, and that also gives you a good bit of the local flavor too, to catch into the local radio stations, right? Which I don't listen to anymore either, but I'm a pure internet guy. Great, excellent, gang. I think I caught everybody's questions on this, so thank you. You've all been fantastic. Why don't we do this? Why don't we kind of let's flip into our let's get into diamonds and deals. And talk about some stuff. Now today we only got one feature, which is Oahu, which is great. So we have some more time to talk about it. And I think I may have a little story about this one. Go ahead, Scott. What's this? What do you got to show us here?
You familiar with this?
I think I am. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So Diamond Head Vista is one of my favorite condo buildings in Waikiki because you're on the edge of Waikiki. If you want access to everything that Waikiki has to offer, it's right at your fingertips. It's out your door. You could actually even walk down to the beach, right down to where the Duke statue is. But you're on the edge, so you can get out easily, and you have this large open space right beyond you. The school is right next door, so you may have a little bit of noise from the kids and during the daytime, but there's no one around in the late afternoon or evening. And look at that view. That's the view from the lanai, and this is just a mid-level unit. I mean, we're talking 14th floor on this one. Renovated, 1 bedroom, 1 bath for $725,000. You look out towards the Gold Coast. You have Diamond Head in the foreground. If you look at the picture on the lower left, that's the lanai. It's 135 square foot lanai, so plenty of space in it. And that one, you could see part of Waikiki from there. So you got these sweeping views with, unobstructed, with a lot of greenery and Diamond Head in the urban core, which you don't usually get. And then if you want to get out away from the hustle and bustle of Waikiki, you're basically 2 turns in 30 seconds, and you're on Kapahula Avenue getting out of Waikiki. But renovated unit, 635 square feet, 725,000. Love this building. It's great.
That is a great. So my little story is that when I was in my mid 20s, I lived not in that building, but I lived in the building kind of right behind it, which is Liliuo Kalani Gardens, which was like, to me, like the best place in the world for a young 20 something to be hanging out in. But I had that same view right out my window, right? So gang, if you could imagine, right, being in your 20s, you kind of been in Hawaii now for maybe a year or two. I forget. Yeah, I was in like Hawaii for 2 years, something like that. And to wake up every morning and to look out that and see that incredible view of Diamond Head. I remember looking at some rainbows over Diamond Head and thinking to myself, man, I am in heaven. But that is exactly for those reasons, Scott. That is a fantastic property. And I had a friend that lived in that property, and just the views are stunning. It's the greenery, everything that you said is exactly right. Exactly right.
You get no big buildings around you, so you get this open view that you wouldn't expect in the urban area, right?
You're right on the edge. So you see, like you said, there's that green shot. You got the school in front of you. You've got, you got all of Kapiolani Park and then Diamond Head, and then you see a little bit of Waikiki to your right, a little bit of an ocean, a little sliver of an ocean view. It was a great thing. The only thing I will have to say, the only thing that the only but on that property, and this is the one thing that you never know until you live there, right? Is the fire station's also kind of right down the street. So every time the fire station gets called up, and you're hearing the fire station go off. So you hear a lot of that, but you kind of get used to it like anything else. So nothing's perfect, but that was the one thing that also sticks out in my head. Let's see, we got a couple of questions that have popped in over here. First of all, a comment from JD that Alexa will play Hawaiian music. There you go. Alexa, play Hawaiian music. There you go. Excellent. Do you ever highlight properties on what is going on Kauai during this show? Kay, not too much, because we rarely do we get Kauai inquiries. Yours is frankly, one of the first one to rare. So not too often, but stay in touch with us and let us know. Look, if Kay, if you're going to show up at a show, we'll have something for you. How's that? We will do something for Kay. Let me know. Get on the newsletter. Give me a reply back. We will plan around a Kauai thing. By the way, hey, look, gang, it's not just Kay. What about the rest of you? Would you all like to see? We've been kind of wrestling with this for a while now, right? And we were talking about how many people should we have on the show. 3, 4 is just right. If we add Kauai, that'll be 5. It's going to make it longer. Anyway, let us know. Are you interested on a Kauai show on a regular basis, or at least kind of have a Kauai special? Let us know, because maybe what we'll do is we'll have a Kauai special if you want it. But you got to want it. If you don't want it, then we're not going to do it. Jeff asked the question I was going to ask, Scott, is that what's the homeowners association fee, or what are the maintenance fees for that unit?
Yeah, they're $685 a month, which
That's not bad.
No, so older buildings are 85 cents to $1 a square foot. New construction buildings are $1 to $1.35 a square foot. So it's right in line with that $1 a square foot range.
Okay, so $1 a square foot. That's actually a really good rule of thumb. I think that building's got like basic amenities, right? It's got a pool. Right?
Yeah, Liliuo Kalani Gardens definitely has you got the tennis court. Those grounds where you were. That's an amazing building too. I love those.
Man, there was a thing about Liliuo Kalani Gardens. It was I don't know if it was a rumor or a hearsay or whatever, but it was apparently started to be. The story was that it was supposed to be a hotel resort, but something ran into the permitting and they had to convert it into condo buildings, because the units were kind of small. But man, we had great grounds. I think pool, jacuzzi, charcoal pits, huge party room. It was amazing. To be there in my 20s was incredible. So yeah. Jeff, hope that answers your question. Joan, secondly, I wholeheartedly second what Judy said. I have no family. I'm the senior member in the Ohana cohort and moved here by myself. I have met wonderful people in the Ohana cohort. That's the part that was the most unexpected great thing that came out of it, Joan, right? Was that I really didn't know where it was all going to fly, but really the big value of the Islander Ohana is you've got a group of people that we have gone through the same courses, the same knowledge, the same understanding, the same values, and the same purpose, and it all kind of it makes for a great connection. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, appreciate it. Angie Joy says, "Hey, before we installed solar, was a shock in getting electric bills. Yeah, it's something else you don't take for granted. It's the price of electricity. It's the highest thing in the nation by far. I'm driving my host nuts." Turning off lights here all the time. Power isn't expensive here, but I'm trained for Hawaii. I guess you're referring to San Francisco. Yeah, it's like electricity is expensive, and it's really jumped up a lot, apparently, 20% plus, and it's going to go up even more. So it is it is the thing. Judy says, Peter, you just made Alexa play a song from Moana. That's funny. That's so if we're going to do that, we could also do a okay Google, play Hawaiian music. We could do that. Or hey Siri, play Hawaiian music. There we go. So I'm going to screw up your Siris and your iPhones and your things right there. There was a really hilarious South Park episode about that, and couldn't make it stop. Couldn't make it stop because I was laughing too hard. Exactly. Right. What's the word and how do you pronounce it for the discount you can sometimes get if you live in Hawaii? Okay, now the key to the discount is the code is you have to pronounce it correctly. It's called a kama aina discount, but the key to getting the kama aina discount is you have to be a kama aina, and to be a kama aina means you know how to pronounce Hawaiian, which is exactly why I created this course on how to correctly pronounce Hawaiian words. Because gang, nothing says I'm a mainland haole than when you pronounce Hawaiian words like a mainland haole. And that is a big thing. So pronouncing Hawaiian words is a really, really, really big deal. That's for sure. Jeremy says would love.
Having the ID helps too.
Having the ID helps. You'll probably get the ID, but if you really want to get like the real kama aina discount, you want to get the kama aina treatment, you got to say kama aina correctly, because that tells you that you're a kama. That says kama aina. Jeremy says love a special or occasional visit from Kauai. I'm assuming. And Jessica says we should do a Kauai special where the whole Ohana flies over and for a live studio audience. Now you're talking, Jessica. Now you're talking. Go to some Kauai resort, do the whole thing. Now you're talking. That's a great idea. Babs says, is it fee simple or leasehold? Great question. Scott?
Yeah, it's definitely fee simple. Yep.
Definitely fee simple. Yeah. For that price, for sure. Excellent. Kelly is with us. Kelly is also an alumni of the Islander Ohana. That's one of the good things about living off grid. Yes. What you're saying with the good things living off grid is you're not as susceptible to the rising rates of electricity. That is correct. So that is correct, Kelly, and I'm glad that you've done it. Kelly is quite the pioneer there. She's living off grid on the Big Island, and Kelly was your story that I was alluding to when I said there's a lot of things you take for granted. And so thank you for sharing that when we got together a couple weeks ago. Mark says, thanks, Peter. I got over the rainbow. Hey. Anytime I can help. So I guess the word would be, hey, Alexa, play Israel Kamaka Viva Ole. There you go. So try that one there. Which also is a way that you have to pronounce the words correctly. So how do you pronounce Israel Kamaka Viva Ole? And Joyce says, now I have Hawaiian music playing here. Hey, I think we're going to do that every time. That's going to be a new feature. Tell everybody to turn on their, get their Alexas and their iPhones, and except for that's a funny one, gang. That is a funny one. All right. I think we got everybody all squared away. Again, last chance, because I think we're gonna move into closing thoughts over here. I think it's that time. It's gonna be a little bit of a short show, not too much shorter, but a few minutes shorter. Just to show you that we respect your time. We're not just gonna fill it because we're just filling it. We're gonna fill it with your questions, your answers, and Kinaya is. This is fun. I think this is gonna be a new feature. It's gonna be turn on your Alexa. Kinaya, is that Alexis or is it Siri or is it Google? Was it? Seriously, there it's cool. All right, excellent. That's what we're gonna do. Thank you all. This is great. We are gonna do a Hawaiian music of the week, and I will pick them out, and I will program your Alexas and your Googles to do it. Molokai, any thoughts? Molokai is amazing, but Molokai is definitely look, Molokai is an incredibly amazing island, but it is absolutely definitely one of these sort of inner circle kind of places. I wouldn't even venture to. I wouldn't even think about like housing in Kauai. Visiting is one thing. Living there, big time Kama'aina, you better be into, because it is a absolutely very, very tight knit, super close. Here, if you get invited to stay over in someone's house on Molokai, then you might be able to live there. But if you don't get invited by some auntie uncle who kind of, not to say literal auntie uncle, but someone who you respect as auntie uncle who invites you to stay in their house for a weekend, Molokai is not the right place. Long story. Alexa, all right, excellent. Hey, thank you. Kanaka Maoli, the pronunciation is so on point. Great show, Peter and Scott. Aloha from Molokai. Thank you. It's important to pronounce it. First of all, the language is a beautiful language. It's a beautiful language, but pronouncing the words correctly is a very, and you know this, Kanaka Maoli. I forgot. I forgot your name from the previous show, but I know who you are. When you say the word correctly and quote on point, with the right enunciations, the right diacritical marks, etc. When you do that correctly, you're saying in a very, very, very significant way that you care enough about the culture, you care enough about the values, you care enough about the people to learn how to pronounce the words correctly. And nothing says it stronger than that. Nothing says it stronger than, and vice versa, and the other way around. If you butcher it, it also says a lot. And JD Reynolds loves it, and that's why I asked. Excellent. All right, let's get to these closing thoughts. Scott, why don't you warm us up with what you've got today?
One more. That's Heidi's, I think. Yeah, if your ship doesn't come in, swim out to it. You know, we all hold our own destiny in our own hands, and it's, you know, you got to make your own opportunities is essentially what it is, and that's how I saw this one.
That is, I've never heard that one before. I've never heard that. Is a good one. If your ship doesn't come in, swim out to it. Make it happen. That is an excellent quote, Scott. Well done. I like that. Auntie George says, you're both great, a treat today and easy on the eyes. Mahalo. Stay safe and God bless. Thank you, Auntie George. You made my day. You made my day. Let's tune in to. Of course, I'm going to give you my proverbs. As usual, hope you all hope you all have come to expect that now. Proverbs says, a generous person will be enriched, and one who gives water will get water. And, you know, and there's so many different ways that I know that you've all heard these in one way, shape, or form. The common phrase that I've heard is, givers are gainers, right? Givers are gainers. A generous person will be enriched, and one who gives water will get water. And it's all about is that sense of giving. And I think the metaphysical part of that why we believe that this is true, and why we all feel this way about this attitude is, I think the idea of when you give, certainly from your heart, you give with generosity. Giving with generosity means you also believe that there is abundance. And when you live that way, that's the way your life conducts itself. Your life conducts itself as if as abundance is true. And when abundance is true, you become a part of that. And that's why I think that this is true. It's one of my favorites. I love Proverbs, and that's that. Auntie Joan, Joan's got one. Auntie Joan, leaps of faith put us in astounding new places. Great line. You know, and gang, if you got some quick ones, say them under before we say goodbye. If you got your favorite motivating thoughts, make sure you pop them in the comments. I'd love to pop them in, and they are coming. JD says, never a problem, only solutions. Indeed. You know, this show is becoming a lot more fun, gang, and really because of you folks. It's really, you folks have really taught me how to be more interactive, and I think that makes this so much more fun than so much more than just Scott and me talking. It's been a great friend. All right, gang. I think we're gonna say goodbye. Scott, you say goodbye, and then I'll close it up.
Yeah, aloha, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend, folks. If you're as lucky as Scott and I to go and body surf Makapu'u in the morning, do it. Otherwise, do what you love to do. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your life. Take care. Aloha.